So, this is my shelf. You've seen it in the background in my videos where I'm on screen before. It's got a lot of stuff on it. Video games, knickknacks, CDs. Yes, I still buy CDs. And, of course, manga. So I thought it would be an interesting time to look at some of these manga and their bizarre anomalies. This isn't necessarily a collection video, although I'll probably make that one day, but just to look at some weird stuff across my manga collection. So, first I want to start with Claymore here. You don't know Claymore? Dude, you're missing out. Some people call it Berserk, but with a female lead, and those people haven't read Claymore. Claymore is more like The Witcher with a female lead. Mutated warriors fighting off monsters that the manga calls Yoma. Except in the later volumes, they switch it to demons. Now, that may just be due to a mistranslation error in earlier printings, but on the back of every book they write Yoma, including the later volumes. Oh, I should also note the spines. Like, I'm a sucker for spines, which I'll talk about when I get to Junji Ito, but Claymore did something kinda weird. Like, if you were to get these volume by volume, you'd notice that the title has varying colors, right? But for some reason, volumes 14 through 16 are all grays. Now, that might be an artistic decision since those volumes take the focus away from Claire, the main character, but the numbers are kinda weird too. Volumes 14 and 15 both have the same gray as the logo, but 16 is darker. I don't know, it just kind of irritates my eyeballs when I look at the shelf. Okay, since we brought up Berserk, let's take a look at my deluxe editions from Dark Horse. This is how I recommend you read the series, although they're kind of expensive. I, however, bought them on Amazon where they go on sale all the time, so I recommend that route unless you have some kind of hate boner for Amazon, which I know some people do. But, I digress. Anyway, these are beautifully leather-bound in 3-in-1 collections, and they have a ribbon. I love ribbons. You want me to buy your big book? Put a ribbon on it. Ribbons aside, these books look badass on a shelf. Too bad they have to sit over here instead of on my main shelf due to trim height. This is more of a me problem. Now, while these all contain 3 volumes in one, Book 14 did something a little different. Due to the unfortunate untimely passing of Kentaro Miura, rest in peace, they put the official guidebook in with the standard volumes 40 and 41. The last ones Miura drew himself. While I do think it's nice to have a stopgap between the Miura and Mori eras, this also makes 14 irritatingly thinner than the other nearly uniform 13. Like, I'm fine with different series being slightly different in width, but when the same series has variations, it just gives me, like, an OCD reaction. Which is why Dorohedoro, despite looking right up my alley with all those cool monsters, might be getting passed up. Look at it, man. What the hell? So I should add, this is my copy of Lord of the Rings. No, I didn't pay that much for it. Are you crazy? And it has this really nice red printed edges. I love that, okay? I know that drives the prices up, but I just want to add that. I freaking love this. I think Berserk would have actually benefited from that. I think the Death Note hardcovers did the same thing, so I don't know. If you're putting out a collection like that, like, print the edges like that. It looks so cool. Okay, so this is my Junji Ito collection here, and I have some varying opinions on Ito's stories, but overall, they call him the master of horror in the manga world for a reason. This is the most aggravating part of my collection. I'm gonna bitch for an hour here. 1, the order. Do I put them alphabetically, chronologically, or chronologically according to localization? Not to mention that some of the short story collections we got over here are all from different eras, so chronology be damned, I guess. And the spines. Oh, dear lord, the spines. The most hit-or-miss spines ever. The short story collections all have a bit of uniformity to them, with the logo big and legible and an illustration in the bottom to clue you into what you're in for. Deserter does this really cool fading thing that's contextual to that particular short story in the collection. That being Ghost, if my memory serves me correctly. It's been a while since I've read it, so I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then you have Love Sickness. Love Sickness is a multi-part short story, so I guess that's why it's what you would call the title track if you were to liken it to music, But it contains other stories, so it's a collection. But look at this font. It has the same branding that's on all the other short story collections, but the script font makes my blood boil, because I live in America and I have to get angry about the smallest minute things, such as the American way. What were they thinking? So Viz did something cool with censor and the liminal zone and put this like spot gloss on the book jackets. They're really pretty, but they stick out in the Junji segment of my shelf, and yours too, probably. There's also Fragments of Horror, which was designed like the two aforementioned, but there's no spot gloss. Irritating inconsistency. No Longer Human is one that I didn't really enjoy upon first read, but after learning the context of the adapted work, I gained a new appreciation for it. But look at this book jacket. Why did they do this? To be different? If I open the book to, read the damn thing, my finger goes into the hole. And this is a beefy book, so who knows, I might damage it. Ben John, just take the book jacket off, I hear you cry in the comments. No, I'm lazy. USA, baby. There's also The Cat Diary, which was a fun one-off for Ito that was very different. It was actually a deliberate comedy, rather than his dark comedic elements he'll pepper into his horror. But look at this fucking thing. This book is so big, but I don't want to separate it from the rest. This is the Ito chunk. It must stay together. And even if I did get a bigger place with bigger shelves, it'll look absurd next to the rest of Ito's books, especially Dissolving Classroom. Why is this the only standard size Ito manga, Viz? Why did you do that? It makes me so mad I could dropkick a baby. And why didn't you keep doing what you did for Tomie, Uzumaki, and Gyo? These three go together. Look at the design. I love it. Okay? Everyone loves it. But when you get to another one of his full lengths, like Remina, one of his most underrated, by the way, that book is awesome, the design is totally different. Anyway, I'll be here all day if I keep going on and on about how botched the book sizes and formatting of Junji Ito is. So, let's take a look at Tatsuki Fujimoto, acclaimed author of Chainsaw Man. You should know him by now if you're a manga reader. No spoilers for Chainsaw Man Part 2 in the comments, please. I'm waiting for more volumes to read it. You guys are literally going to spoil the shit out of it down there, aren't you? Anyway, before Chainsaw Man, Fujimoto did Fire Punch, which I've seen a lot of people talk about but never give a proper review or deep dive, so maybe I'll do that one day. I don't know. Would you guys be interested if I looked at comics that weren't independently posted webcomics? I always thought that would be the most interesting content when covering comics, but if you want me to expand out and look at manga and just regular published comics, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, back to the cannibal incest manga. Yes, I'm serious. Fire Punch is batshit insane, and that's putting it lightly, especially in the last few volumes. But Viz decided to publish these in the Viz Signature format, which is literally just a slightly bigger version of the standard Viz printing. It's not that noticeable, but it is when I line my Fujimoto up. It irritates me. Again, I know, first world problems. Also, look at Chainsaw Man's spine. Look at Volume 4. Do you see what I'm seeing? Why is that one so much lower than the rest? Eyesore, man. Well, at least it's not as bad as Monster, which is a manga I'm eventually going to get to, along with Urasawa's other stuff. Always wanted to check his stuff out. But from what I've seen from manga tubers, the Western printing, I guess you call it, has an image forming on the covers that totally messes up the spines. Come on, man. Leave my spines alone. Speaking of spines that are good or bad, these Fist of the North Stars are absolutely perfect. This is how you do a re-release. These are in this nice hardcover format, but they're not oversized like the Berserk ones from Dark Horse. Take notes, Dark Horse. I know you're American too, but the fact of the matter is that some of us don't have the stereotypical amount of American space, okay? Even though maybe one day I will, that is. If you watching this will hit the damn subscribe button. Do it. Do it now. But the logos are super legible and consistent with the front cover. It has that nice stark contrast of red on white to stand out, so you're looking at it on the bookshelf and you're going whoa, what's that? And you're going to pick it up, and then they're going to make more money because it's good. They did good design, right? It has a cool illustration and the numbers are aligned perfectly. Not to mention, since it's a completed series, they decided to put the image across it. Now, at first it just looks like blood splatter, letting you know this is a manly, violent, steroid-ass, punchy, shooty, killy, manly man manga for manly men, man. But as you collect the volumes, it starts to form the constellation. You're like, whoa, that's even cooler, dude. Anyway, speaking of spine images, so I actually haven't read this one yet, but Kodansha has been putting out these full-color hardcovers, which would look pretty on a shelf, but I messed up. I got the standard original black and white version for Volume 2. Now, I may just double dip in this one, like Berserk, if I like it enough, and not to mention the artwork looks totally different in these books when you add color, and the covers are different, so maybe they'll actually give the story a different vibe when I get around to reading it. I do like that the hardcovers spell out the title. I thought that was cool, but when you don't have them all, it looks goofy. like if you just have the first two, people are going to look at your shelf and say, huh, guess you're a big fan of Pennsylvania. I don't know, guys. Should I stick to the hardcover color version or the original black and white, or should I just double dip? I don't know. This is a massive dilemma. Again, totally a first world problem, I know. Speaking of things with multiple versions from Kodansha, so here's what I have from Vinland Saga so far. I haven't read the whole thing because after reading the first volume, it's one of the ones that I want to read in full. It is finished, right? Or is it nearly finished? I could have sworn I saw a clip of Yukimura saying he was wrapping it up. Anyway, fuck these colors, man. They incorporated the colors of these books into the cover art, and that's one reason they have the spines like that. But look at Volume 4. What is this bullshit? If you're going to have these gaudy, vibrant colors in such a dark series, at least stick to it. Now they have these deluxe 2-in-1 versions that are similarly sized to like the Berserk Deluxes. Different companies, I know, but I already committed to the standard hardcovers before they announced, so I'm sticking with them. Also, you know, space. So these deluxe versions of Vinland Saga, they have much, much better cover and spine work for this series. These actually look like books about Vikings, you know, what it's about, but they fucked up again. Why are they different colors? It would have been perfect if they were all red or black or just one single color. But no, we're Kodansha. Fuck you. Well, I think I made the right decision in sticking with the original hardcovers. Speaking of variations, it's time to take a look at some spicy manga. Yes, I have some spicy manga in my collection. I am shameless. Anyway, World's End Harem here. This story is actually a really good sci-fi government conspiracy thriller with an engaging plot and good characters. It just happens to have a lot of fucking in it, which is what you want from an H manga. Nothing's worse than one of these without a plot. It's still a book to be read, you know? And no, I don't read one-handed. I legit don't understand people that jack at the hentai. Probably because I can just draw my own if I wanted to. Or I prefer the live-action adaptations. Like, I can just look at these manga as art and art alone. Now, this series has one thing that perplexes me. For the most part, I love the way 7 Seas presented it. Super uniform in spines and covers. They even labeled the second arc and made it not stick out like a sore thumb. Isn't that awesome? One anomaly though, for some reason, Volume 5 just has really nice thicker paper. Every single other volume has what you expect in a manga, but not Volume 5. It's like they were like, nah, we gotta use nicer paper for this one. Like, I'll show you on camera while being very careful about what pages I'm putting on screen. I don't know if you can really make it out, but like, if you look close, Volume 5 is like way thicker and crisper. I don't know why. You know, it's really nice paper. I wish the whole series was printed like this. But yeah, that's the weird anomaly in World's End Harem. Anyway, I got this other spicy manga from back when I used to just do blind buys here called Ladies on Top. As the title implies, it's about, you know, femdom. Don't look it up if you don't know what that is. Actually, get off my channel if you don't know. You're too young to be here. She pegs him in Volume 3. Like, I'm actually not kidding. The last page of Volume 2 had him pulling out a strap-on. Like, legit. Anyway, I dropped it because, like, look, I like him a little feisty, but that's a bit too much for me. You know what I'm saying? The art was nice and had, like, softness to it, and the dialogue felt surprisingly realistic, but it just kind of wasn't for me. However, it's in that big format like Fire Punch, but it's a rare case of a matte finish on the cover. Usually manga have a glossy finish if it's paperback like this, but not this one. The first one has this spot gloss on the logo, and also this like embossing or beveling or raising, or whatever you call that. Editor John, help me out here. But the second one only has spot gloss. I'm guessing the first one didn't sell as well as they hoped, but they still wanted to stand out a bit. I don't know. Probably was a bit cheaper to do that, but you know, like inconsistencies. Anyway, speaking of femdom, great transition. This one, Pleasure and Corruption, is a rather interesting story revolving around bondage. Again, if you don't know these words, get off my channel. You're too young to be here. There's this weird flap here. Why? Why is it here? It's so annoying. Also, if you have Volume 2 of this, which I literally can't find anywhere, hit me up because Volume 1 ended on a cliffhanger. Anyway, getting back to 7 Seas, who are the Western manga publishers who are kind of known for bringing spicier manga over here. They have this weird, like, imprint, I think the word is. It like all has the same logo, but they categorize them under different ships. Destiny Lovers, which is a really bizarre story, I gotta read the rest of that one, is published under Ghost Ship. But Asumi-chan is interested in lesbian brothels, which is a much more wholesome story than the title implies, is printed under just 7 Seas. Ladies on Top has Steamship, all one word as opposed to the others, and most irritatingly, Please Go Home Miss Akutsu. Akitsu probably, has Volume 1 as Seven Seas and Volume 2 as Ghost Ship. If someone from Seven Seas happens upon this video, first of all, you're doing the Lord's work, God bless. Also, what's up with this dude? So, no good transition here, but I got into Shuzo Oshimi from the very divisive Flowers of Evil anime adaptation. That series is better known by its Japanese title, Aku no Hana. And the series was like Anxiety the anime. It was so uncomfortable to watch. Not just because of the rotoscoping, but the entire story as well. Which actually, in retrospect, might have made the rotoscoping a good choice in my opinion. I might actually do a whole review on this series at some point, but we're talking about manga today, so as well as the spines of these manga match, I don't like the covers. I don't know, I just don't like them. And I don't like the variance in size. I don't know, it annoys me. But I did like his work enough to pick up Blood on the Tracks as well as keep my eye out for any of his other work. But someone messed up, either Oshimi himself or Vertical Comics, because of the iconic double-page spread that you've probably seen, especially if you watch the single Super Eye Patch Wolf video, looks like What the hell, guys? There's this thing called a margin. It's also part of the reason why I haven't put out Doomsayer Volume 1 physical. It's really annoying. Also, the printer I picked to get the prototype from kind of had shitty cover material. Anyway, this was just me being a damn complainer, whining about things that don't really matter. I hope you enjoyed me venting my frustrations around these first world problems. Sometimes the publishers really knock it out of the park, though. Like, look at these Orochi hardcovers. Aren't they awesome? Well, to wrap this one up, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.